He's a little sleepy, but on this diet, I'm actually really wide awake this morning.
Good. It's been a little rough, guys. All right, so guys, welcome to day 2 of, I think we're on 2. I don't know, it's early. Come on, give me a break. Of Paleo 060. I'm Jeff. This is Bruce, my dad. So we want to talk about being hungry. So how would you say you feel compared to, say, a low-calorie diet?
It's been interesting because at first I was pretty hungry, but right now I feel a hunger, but it's not in my stomach at all. It's just kind of this little bit of a nag at me all over my body, and I'm just kind of learning to tolerate it. It was kind of pissing me off at first.
Yeah, well, the good news is you're not dying. I mean, not any more quickly than you normally are.
Yeah.
I've been through this a couple times, this sort of transition from high carb to low carb. And I should say paleo is not necessarily a low carb diet, but in this case we're doing low carb to get the weight loss benefits. So yeah, it is weird. You get sort of a craving sense, not like a hunger, it's more like a craving, and your brain's trying to trick you into eating some...
Yeah, it almost feels more like it's just habits that are pulling at me as much as anything.
Yeah. But that's it. I mean, changing diet is all about changing your habits. I actually want to talk about that later on. So, some quick stuff on kind of what's going on, at least in theory, and I'm not the expert in this. I'll post some links to people who are experts if you guys want to do further research, but basically your insulin and your leptin are two things that control appetite and energy within your body, and so when you get out of whack, when you get metabolically deranged, basically you get insulin and leptin resistant. I love the deranged term. It makes me sound like I know what I'm talking about. So the insulin is fat storage. So basically, you get energy into your body, and your insulin tells your cells what to do with that, whether they should store it, or whether you should be, in the case where you have lower insulin, releasing some of your fat cells or your fat energy into that. And then leptin actually controls energy expenditure, whether you should be active or not. It's what causes what's the term? Sugar highs in children. Like if you have active leptin, if you're insulin or leptin sensitive, you'll get a sugar high. Your body will realize that you have excess energy and you'll burn it off. That doesn't happen when you get into a state of derangement or leptin resistance. So you have lower energy. So what we're trying to do here is...
So you actually get hyperactive when you have
leptin working properly, because you need to burn that excess energy because you don't need to store it. But what happens is over time when you're exposed to kind of strange diets that we're not used to historically, with a lot of glucose or a lot of carbs basically, and some other stuff can cause these as well, as we're learning. You get too much leptin, too much insulin, and then so your cell receptors start to shut off. So you have fewer cell receptors, so you need more of it. It's basically when a woman walks into a room with super strong perfume. It could be a man too. I don't want to judge. You immediately notice, like, oh wow, like that's overpowering and probably gives you a headache, and then you get used to it because your receptors sort of shut off for that. The way to resensitize to that is to leave the room and then come back. So that's what we're doing right now. We're leaving the room. We're cutting out a lot of carbohydrates. We're still eating a few.
We're going out to get some oxygen, get away from the white hairs in church.
Yeah, exactly. So that way, when we need it, we have the receptors there available in order to get it there. So anyway, that's a little bit of theory on kind of what's going on. So what to do about being hungry? Just drinking water seems to help. I think it gives you sort of some sense of doing something with your mouth, ingesting something, which kind of calms your brain. I don't know. It
probably fills your stomach a little.
Yeah.
Too, so.
Distracting yourself, doing whatever, I don't know, watching TV or reading a book. And not being around food necessarily, because if there's like a bag of chips sitting right in front of you, it's going to be really hard to just sit there and stare at it. You're going to tweak out. And the cool thing is it only takes a few weeks for cravings to completely shift. It will actually go away if you're doing the low-carb part of it right. And you actually probably start to feel better after 3 to 4 days. But I like to say a few weeks because some people take that long. It depends on how resistant you are, basically.
And a lot about your genetics and how you probably manage that chemistry. I know that it's been 4 days or so now since I started, and I'm already noticing a little shift in the hunger stuff. Mm-hmm. It's less bothersome to me. I was pretty irritated the first couple of days.
It's cool. And the cool thing about this is it's not the same as a calorie-restricted diet. Because in a calorie restricted diet, you're just going to be hungry all the time until you quit the diet, which will happen eventually for 99% of people. This will actually change because we're changing your body hormones. We're not just restricting how much you're eating. We're changing what you're eating. All right. So my last point on this is if you get dizzy or lightheaded or you start to feel really nauseous or ill, you may want to do this process slowly. You may want to start with whatever your normal carbs are and then calculate how do I do 75% of that for a few days and then 50% and then 25%. And then sort of work your way down. It's going to take a lot more time and effort to do that, but some people have more issues than others, and some people respond differently because everyone's body is totally different, so you kind of got to figure out what works for you. So, alright guys, good luck with it.